So this is reading number 17 of John Cook and Robert Homestead's Intermediate Biblical Hebrew Grammar. And we are on reading number 17. So we're going to start by going over the vocabulary. So Samuel, would you mind doing the honors and going over the vocabulary for Marcelo?
All right.
This is kind of the most vocabulary we've had so far, I think.
Yeah. All right. So at is dejected, a dejected mood or gentleness. But air is sweep away, remove, devastate. Gilulim is idols. Hesit is to incite or mislead, entice away. Hishtin is to urinate. Hit maker is to sell oneself. Hit Eve is to act abominably.
Notice that the hit maker is related to mocher, like machar. Machar is to sell, and hit maker is to sell yourself or to become devoted to something.
Or limkor.
Yes, limkor. Limkor, hit maker. In modern Hebrew, it means to be addicted. To be addicted to something, because you've sold yourself to it, you've become addicted to it.
Oh, interesting.
Where did you see the word at in the text? Do you know? Ah, the very last one.
Yeah.
I think he's putting. It looks like he's putting this in alphabetical order rather than where it occurs in the passage.
At looks to me like it's related to slow. If it's dejected, it's because he's moping around. Right? The words for slow, something that is slow is et. Et is from at. It's aleph tet yud, aleph tet yud et, meaning slow. Le'at means slowly, slowly. Le'at. So at is related to that concept of slowness. You were on Heat Eve.
All right, continue.
Okay. So Hit Eve was act abominably. Hell was outer rampart or an outwork. Ya'an is because. Kelev is dog. Ka'as is vexation or anger. Lakach is to lick or lap up. Nikna is to humble oneself or to submit.
Yeah, so make sure to pronounce the kaf is kha, nichna.
Nichna. Okay.
It can be just to give in to someone. Kanua is the passive participle in the kal. Kanua, it means submissive. Like you give in to people. You're atakanua. It means that you're somebody who is okay, and you put your head down.
The next one is oaf, flying creatures, fowl or insects.
Normally birds.
Not foal. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it can also mean wings. Wing, right?
Wing is kanaf.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
With the dual knafayim.
Winged creatures is what I was thinking. But flying creatures.
Normally birds.
Yeah. Yep, fowl.
Okay.
Or even chicken.
Yum.
All right. Tsum is fast. Kir is
it's
wall.
True. Latsum is to fast, but notice when it's a noun, a fast is som with o instead of u. U is the verb and o is the noun. Latsum, som.
Okay. The kir is wall. Kara, to tear or rend.
Mhm.
Ratzach is to kill or murder. And rak is only, still, but, nevertheless, however.
Yes,
So
and
kir is a wall, right?
a few of these should be familiar, right?
So if kir is wall, do you remember how to say the wall of a city? Like a city wall? It's not kir. It's a different word for a city wall. Remember that one? I think we've had it.
I wanna go back and
Well, I'll just give it real quick then.
yeah, go ahead.
It's choma. Choma is the word for the city wall, and kir is a wall like of a room.
Well, Homa can also be used for rooms too, because I remember it from someplace. I think it was in, I think in, I don't remember now.
Well, we have the word koma. Koma means like a height, but it means a floor of a building. That's how many floors. So the ark, I think, said it had 3 floors, 3 heights. 3 floors.
Anyway, I wanted to go back because I forgot to check and see if there were any questions about the previous grammar questions for 16. How do we feel about the grammar? Anyone?
I think we talked about these. I think, I don't know if we have any. I don't.
I'm sorry.
Didn't we go over grammar on this a little bit?
This doesn't look familiar to me.
Okay.
So the trick for this one is, do you remember from the first semester at the very end, I think I went over backgrounding and foregrounding. Do you remember that?
I think so.
Backgrounding is when you use the discourse vaihi to give background information of a passage, or some sort of disjunctive vav that breaks off of the narrative, that breaks the narrative off and offers background information. Like in Genesis chapter 3. V'hanacha sharum mikol chayat hasadeh. It's telling you some additional information, some new information. The serpent was more crafty than any animal of the field, right? So that's giving you backgrounding information. Any verb sequence that moves the story forward, that moves the narrative forward or the action forward, is called foregrounding, right? So if you have vayakom vayelech, he got up and he went, that's actual actions or events that are moving the story forward, right? Like for the Abraham story, like Vayar Avraham et hamakom asher asa Adonai Elohim. I'm reconstructing this in my head. Abraham saw the place that God showed to him. Right? So
I think that one of the best examples is in the planting of the Garden of Eden in Genesis chapter 2.
Let's go there. So let's see here. Where is that? Because I think this is a helpful refresher, because this is going to focus on the function of verbs, and the function of verbs in his mind are either going to be to establish foregrounding or backgrounding. It's either going to set the stage for the narrative. That's another good way of looking at it. Setting the stage, or the actual narrative that takes place. So where is where?
We can just go from the beginning of the chapter.
Yeah, which chapter?
Chapter 2, Genesis.
Genesis 2. Let me share the screen. We'll zip through this quickly. If anybody would like to read, they can.
Do you mind if I just read it quickly?
No, I do not. Let me share the screen real quick. All right. I even pulled up the text critical notes for you in case you want them.
You have the VHQ, so why VHS? This is Vayichulu hashamayim va'aretz b'chol tzva'am. Okay, so the heavens and the earth and all their hosts were completed. Vayichal Elohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa. Vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vayikadesh oto.
So wait, is this piece foregrounding or backgrounding?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
All of this is foregrounding except for the explanations, like it says Kivo Shavat. Kivo Shavat is giving an explanation for Vayivarech and Vayikadesh.
Right.
So verse 4, Ele todot hashamayim va'aretz behi bar'am. These are the generations of the heaven and the earth in their being created. Biyom asot Adonai Elohim eretz v'shamayim. V'chol siach hasadei terem yiyeh va'aretz v'chol esev hasadei terem yitzmach ki lo imtir Adonai Elohim al haaretz v'adam ein la'avod et ha'adama. Ve'ed ya'ale min haaretz v'yishka et kol pnei ha'adama. Vayitzer Adonai Elohim et ha'adam afar min ha'adama vayipach be'apo nishmat chayim vayhi adam lenefesh chaya. So you notice the beginning, it says in verse 4, it says, on the day of the Lord God's making the earth and sky, it says, and every shrub, I guess, or weed of the field before it would be in the land, and every herb of the field before it would grow, because the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and a man there was not to work the land. And then verse 6 very clearly says, Ve'ed ya'ale. Ed is the subject, a mist. Ya'ale would go up from the land. See, it's subject verb. So this is providing us background information, like painting a picture behind the creation.
So something to be said here. Is this real or irreal mood here? I'm asking Samuel and Marcella this question.
Irreal.
Yes, a stream would go up, but irreal mood, according to Cook and Homestead, is verb, subject, inversion, right?
Right.
So why do you think this would be flipped from verb, subject, inversion?
Is it because of backgrounding?
Could be, yes.
Wow, I don't know. That's
one explanation. What's another explanation?
Because it's a new subject. I mean, you're adding information.
Correct. A new subject is being introduced. Topicalization. Remember topic and focus?
Yeah, topicalization.
We're certainly not turning a mist into the topic of a discussion. It's mentioned in passing.
Your other option.
I would think that this is just because it's talking about something that would happen. It's not expressing a wish. It's not adjussive. It's not volitional.
Mhm.
If it's a volitional, then I would imagine the subject and verb, being inverted. But this isn't volitional. It's
Well, yeah,
just saying habitual past.
but it is ereal mood. So ereal mood should trigger verb subject inversion.
That's what they say. I don't think that's true. If it's
Well,
just
I
talking
mean,
about something that was happening in the past.
but we're teaching this grammar. So there's one other option, which I don't think, and this is what Homestead would say, that this couldn't be topicalization. And the reason why he says that topicalization only occurs when the subject has already been introduced in the narrative. And I don't think we've heard about a stream.
It's not a stream, it's mist.
Mist, sorry. So
Right,
then the
it's being
other,
introduced.
huh?
But it's not being, it
Something
doesn't take any part in the following narrative. It has no purpose. It's just giving background information. And it says, against this background, Vayitzer Adonai Elohim et Adam.
So
God formed the man.
So in Cook's and Homestead's way of thinking, why would this be inverted? We've given two explanations, right? What's the last one?
That they're wrong.
Okay, then what's the fourth one? There's one more, and I don't think this fits. I may actually email Homestead to ask him about this verse.
Well, I think they need to make a distinction that they don't make. One is volitionals. Volitional, if they want to call it irreal, okay, fine. But volitional, something you say, I hope this happened, may this happen, I want this to happen, that will flip the word order. But if it's just saying, in the past, blah, 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 this used to happen, that's not a volitional. It's descriptive. And when it's descriptive, it doesn't flip the word order. Another example would be Hannah when she went to the temple, Samuel's mother.
In what he's saying here in the book, it's like out of sequence events, subordinate events inside relative clauses.
Well, this wouldn't be a relative clause.
Relative clause. So yeah, I don't know.
So here's, if you want to go back to the first book, when he introduces aerial mood and habitual actions, he uses this very line as an example.
Oh, so this is a habitual action?
I'm sorry?
This is a habitual action?
Yes.
Not necessarily habitual. It just says what would happen at that time, as opposed to what started to happen later on.
Right. But he sees it as habitual.
But the subject, Ed, is continuously going up. Right.
Right. So back to the thing, there's one more explanation for inversion, which I don't think I buy. What's the other? What inverts? Past narrative, right?
Yeah.
Real and aerial mood. Topicalization, which according to Homestead, this can't be topicalization because this hasn't been introduced yet. So does that make sense? When he talks about topicalization, like in Genesis chapter 3, when it talks about the serpent was the most crafty of all the animals. Traditional grammarians would say that the subject comes before the verb because it's introducing new information. Because it's topical and because it's topicalization. Homestead doesn't buy that because he says that it's a new topic and hasn't been previously introduced, so it can't be topicalization. So the other option is focus, or it's just standard Hebrew word order. And I just gave you the last answer. Right?
Yes.
Focus inverts. But focus doesn't
See,
make sense.
that's the thing. I would say that it's standard Hebrew word order, and it's just if we would think in terms of mood, it would be an indicative mood, because the indicative like in Greek, the indicative in the imperfect would tell what was happening at a specific time in the past. Like it gives background information.
I'm
that's
sorry.
what we've got going on here.
I just now yeah, standard Hebrew word is subject verb according to these folks, but irreal mood, if it's irreal, it should trigger inversion.
That's what I'm saying, that irreal should correspond to a subjunctive or optative mood. This corresponds to the indicative mood in Greek. There's no trigger for volition.
But they would, I think they would put volition.
That's where I think the weakness is in their theories, that they need to distinguish between indicative past for something habitual and subjunctive. The irreal needs to be associated with subjunctive or optative, with wishing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or giving instructions, imperative, something like that.
So is this then? So Jason thinks that this is standard Hebrew word order, which is another option. So do you see why I love studying Hebrew so much? Because there are multiple explanations for why something happens. And multiple ways of translating and multiple ways of interpreting something. Anyway, is this foregrounding or backgrounding?
Backgrounding.
Yes. Jason, do you want to continue?
The foreground begins again in verse 7. Vayitzer Adonai Elohim et Adam afar min ha'adama vayipach ve'apo nishmat chayim vayhi Adam lenefesh chaya. So the Lord God formed the man dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, or into his noses, and the man became a living soul.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there on, it goes right into the consecutive.
Yeah.
God planted a garden and so on. Do we understand? Good grasp of foregrounding and backgrounding, because I did this because this is what these grammar questions focus on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we haven't reviewed that for quite some time, so I thought that would be a good review, because I think we did that over Christmas or something. Or before Christmas, rather. Right?
Long time ago.
Yeah. So good refresher.
Yes.
All right. So my computer is being weird. What the heck?
So hit stop sharing, and that will reduce your resources.
Yes. That's right. Well, I've got plenty of resources. But yes, you're correct. All right, so reading 16 grammar questions. Identify the perfect verbs and explain their function in the passage. We don't need to identify all of the perfect verbs. But how about Samuel or Marcelo can pick a few, or the two of you can each pick one and explain its function here. And tell us what verse you're in. I'm actually going to start sharing again. Man, I can't think today. All right, here we go. Can everybody see this? Or did my computer mess up? Yeah, okay, we're here. We're on 1 Kings 21, 11 to 16.
I see Genesis 2.
I know, I'm changing it. Oops. All right.
That would have changed it if you had your resources linked, you know.
I don't
You
know
know how
what
to
that
do that?
is. Well, after. You can show me after, if that's okay. 21. All right. Oh, I see you're saying like when you change one, they both change.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be useful.
I can
All
show
right,
you where to do that
so
real quick.
11.
Is one
Just
of
Right,
them
right here.
Let us know. Let us know what verse you're on and what
Verse
verb you're
12.
looking at.
Yod Gimel is 12, right?
No.
Your Gimel is 13. Aleph Bet Gimel.
Oh, 13. So when they say Berach Navot Elohim Vamelech, is that
Mhm.
Berach like a perfect?
It is. Where'd it go?
Oh my gosh.
And it's the
Berach is
euphemism
perfect, yes.
about that it's actually meant to mean the opposite.
Mhm. Yep.
What the heck is going on here?
Just hit the X. Close both of those.
Yeah, but it
Not
keeps
that. No, not there.
it
You
keeps
closed the
it
text.
keeps opening. It keeps opening.
I know you closed the text and left the apparatus open. You
I
going
know,
to
but
1 Kings 21 there isn't going to help. That's the apparatus.
gosh,
You
darn
closed
it.
the text.
There we go. But I kept trying to highlight and it kept dragging the window over and closing it. I don't know why. Is this working now? Yes. Okay.
Now I'll go to verse 13.
13.
It was because you clicked on one of the letters A or B or something. You clicked on one of the footnotes
Okay.
and then opened the resource.
So you're looking at what? Your 13 Yod Gimel. So Beirach.
It's where your mouse is, yeah. Berach Navot Elohim Vamelech.
So what's the function of that verb? You have two options.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look at my options. So it's backgrounding, right?
No.
Those are the options: backgrounding, foregrounding.
Yes. But you picked the wrong one.
Oh, so it's foregrounding.
Yes. And it's in speech.
So why is it foregrounding? Because he's telling them what he did, or
But
they're
it's
telling.
but it's moving the narrative forward.
Oh,
That's what foregrounding is. Anything that moves the narrative forward. So even though it's in speech and it's not a particular event that's happening, it's still moving the narrative forward.
I don't see where we have narrative moving. I'm sorry. Go again.
no.
ויעידוהו אנשי הבליעל את נבות נגד העם לאמור
Where are you?
בירך letter B
What?
אנשי הבליעל את נבות נגד העם לאמור בירך נבות אלוהים והמלך.
Right.
Okay, where's the inside the speech, where's the narrative moving?
It's still part of the narrative piece. It's still moving the story forward. It's not breaking off and offering additional information. Right? Direct speech is not backgrounding. It's still part of the forward narrative.
Okay.
Does that make sense to everybody? Except for maybe Jason, who might take exception to that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right, right. It's not, you're not giving any background information. It's just,
It's not
talking.
necessarily, foregrounding is not necessarily only actions, right?
I don't
If
see
it's
what's
in,
being pointed out. I really don't. You said to call out the perfect forms, and that's a perfect form, but I
Yes.
don't see what point you're making with it. The narrative itself, that the text isn't carried forward. I would say that the quoted speech just needs to be separated off. The direct speech just needs to be separated off.
but
Like
it's not
the
offering
narrative,
additional-
the narrative is carried forward with Vayiduhu, they testified against him,
but
and
it's still,
Vayotziuhu, they took
but-
him out.
but okay, but under his way of thinking, though it might be different from yours, direct speech is not backgrounding because it's still part of the main narrative piece. Because it's still part of, where is it? 13, right?
It was
Mhm.
verse 13. I'm really trying to understand this. I'm thinking through what you're saying, and I just don't get it.
Lay more. He said it's still part of
They
this.
testified against him in front of the people, saying, Navot cursed God and king.
Yes,
But
but
what
it's
does that
still,
what does
but
that have
it's-
to do with the narrative?
it's still part of this piece. It's
Yes,
not
it's like saying blue
Cursed.
sky. Like you would carry, and he saw a blue sky. It provides information inside of that chunk. What did they testify? They testified this.
What does he say? Let's look at his explanation.
So are you
Let's-
doing the background, G?
Let's look at his explanations here on page 105. Past narrative of perfect verbs. The meaning of the past narrative and the perfect verbs overlap in that they both regularly express past events with a closed structure. This is not what he wants to.
Why would Berach be in front of Navot, the word order? That would be a valid question. Why not say Navot Berach Elohim Bamelech? Instead, they say Berach Navot Elohim Bamelech. Why is the word order inverted? That's a good question.
That's an interesting question.
And I think that could have a good answer, but I don't see how this has any. When you have limor, whatever is after that is part of quoted speech. If you're looking at like discourse analysis, separate that off. It's not part of the flow. Like just indent it. If you're thinking of it, discourse analysis, indent it, because it's details, but it's not a move.
So this focus,
Yes, it is. It's if in traditional sense it would be emphasis. This is showing, I think,
what he
the
said,
feeling of being shocked.
right?
Like it's what? Who in their right mind would curse God? He's cursed God, right? It's focusing cursed. Cursed has Navot, God and King. Like it is bringing that into focus. Yeah.
Mm.
And maybe also the accusatory tone.
He talks about.
Apart from that, I don't see what the point is.
Jason's assignment is to read through 105 and 106 and see if he adequately explains the perfect indirect speech. And I don't think he does. He does say background events expressed by the perfect include scene setting situations, out of sequence events, Maybe that's why it's inverted with the mist. A mist. Well, that's not really an out of sequence.
But again, he's talking about perfects in narrative. He's not talking about perfects in direct speech, in quoted speech.
Mhm.
I don't
that's
see
right.
that he mentions quoted speech anywhere in this.
Because he includes quoted speech as part of his answer in the answer key, but I don't see him discussing speech anywhere in his explanation.
Right.
Unless I'm missing something. Anyway, we still answered the question correctly. Well, there's debate over whether or not that's foregrounding or backgrounding. Jason, would you call that backgrounding?
The quoted speech?
Yes.
I don't think it holds any value.
There's also the possibility that the answer key might be incorrect. Because I think they have grad students make these keys. I don't think they do it themselves. So let's do one more. Pick one more, and then we'll go into the reading.
What about on Yod Aleph? So that's 10, right?
11.
11. So
11.
Yod is 10, and you add an Aleph to it. 10, 1.
Yeah,
Right?
so it says Ka'asher Shah Al-Khe. So Shalcha, is that correct?
Where are you here?
So
Ka'asher.
Vayashu Anesh Neshe Anshe Yuro Vaz Zekinim Vahachurim Asher Haishvim Beiro Ka'asher Shalcha.
Kasher shalcha alehem mizevet.
Right. Is that Shalcha?
Here we have. Is that where you are right there?
Well, he was looking at the beginning of that line, but it's
Yeah.
the same structure. This verse is so messed up. There are so many problems in this verse. But the shalcha is fronted because it comes after the subordinator. Ka'asher shalcha lehem izabel. Ka'asher. After asher, the verb jumps forward. But yeah, it's definitely a perfect form.
So is it foregrounding or backgrounding? And what verb are you looking at specifically?
The one at the very beginning of that line.
Shalcha.
Not where your pointer
that's
is, at the beginning of the line.
Go back.
That one, yes.
Mm-hmm. So is that foregrounding or backgrounding?
I think that's foregrounding. No?
No.
Backgrounding, I think.
Backgrounding.
Definitely
Why?
backgrounding.
Backgrounding. Why?
Think in terms of vayasu. Did she send before they did it or after they did it?
Before.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And it's also within a relative clause.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Relative clauses are like automatically subordinated. They're automatically embedded and they're on a lower level.
And it occurs 2 times in this verb, doesn't it? I mean, in this verse.
Yeah.
Ka'asher, ka'asher.
You have to really ignore the structure of this verse. It's really broken. Remember Asher Hayoshvim? That's messed up. Kasher Shalcha, Asher Shalcha. kasher katuv. The whole thing is like jumbled. It's a big jumbled mess. The men of his city, the old and the nobles, who the ones dwelling in his city. Like, what is all that? Did according as Isabel had sent to them, according as written in the books, which she sent to them. Like the whole thing is a mess.
Using too many relative clauses, you mean?
And the combination of his city and who the ones living. Like, why do you say who the ones living? You just say either the ones living or you say who live. You don't say who the ones living. Asher hayoshvim. It's either hayoshvim or asher yoshvim.
They have the
asher and ha
translation.
together.
They have the translation as the men of his city, comma, the elders and the nobles who were living in his city, comma.
Right, but see how that's smoothed over?
Yes.
Who were living? Asher hayoshvim.
A null copula clause.
But you can't have asher and ha together. It's either asher yashuvu, the ones who were living, or ha yoshvim as a participle, the ones living, but not who the ones living. It's a bad combination. This won't appear anywhere else. This is a bad structure. Don't learn this. Don't learn this as good Hebrew. It's bad Hebrew.
And then
Because
he
look what it
has,
says. The men of his city, the ones, or who the ones living in his city. Why do you need to have his city twice? The men of his city, who the ones living in his city. What does that mean?
yes. And what would my professor say this is?
Bad writing.
Bad
This is really bad
writing.
writing. Yeah, I agree with him. If he said that about this verse, when I was going through this with my previous course, this verse really made me mad because how am I supposed to teach Hebrew from this verse?
Yep. All right, let's move on to the reading for the next one. This was a lot of homework. This is a lot of...
I would say number 12 is a weird one. Karut som. This is an imperative. This is quoting from the letters she sent to them. Never mind. Isn't it? No, it's not. Karut som v'hoshivu et navot b'rosham. It looks like Hoshivu is supposed to be an imperative, right? Set navot at the head of the people. But Karut som should be kir'u. Kir'u som. An imperative is kir'u.
This is not an imperative.
It looks like it's supposed to be.
They
Call
had proclaimed
a fast.
They had proclaimed a fast, and they had seated Naboth at the head of the people.
Wow, that is messed up.
So what would that be, foregrounding or backgrounding? If that's the right way to translate it.
It doesn't make sense.
Are
It
there
would
any
be
texts?
backgrounding, but obviously this should be foreground. It should be vayikreut som vayoshivu et navot b'rosham.
There are no text critical notes on verse 12.
Yeah. Because there's probably no variants. I'm sure there aren't any variants.
So what's the explanation for this?
Bad writing.
Bad writing. One of my favorite things that he said was, we were talking about Torah reception, and he said, one of the students said, "But professor, what about oral Torah?" And he said, which is like, oral tradition. And he said, "Excellent question. There's no such thing as oral Torah."
Oh.
And this guy was a rabbi. This definitely is Reform Judaism, I would think. But his reasoning for that is, why would there be a focus on oral Torah when we've discovered writings that predate? Like this people had the capacity to write stuff down from a very early point in time. So why would you pass stuff down?
I think a better argument would be that the development of the oral Torah, like the Mishnah especially, shows a type of Judaism that wasn't really consistent with Second Temple Judaism. That is, that when we look at the types of Judaisms that existed during the Second Temple, if there had been such an oral tradition, it would have bound them closer together. There wouldn't have been such diversity.
Yeah, that is a great argument.
Yeah. good
Anyway,
point.
let's do some of this. He does. I would encourage you folks to look at, for homework, maybe 107, because he goes into first Vav Yod verbs and parsing those. And I remember that giving us a little bit of trouble when we went over that, and we only went over that very briefly. So that might be a thing to be worth looking at between this time and next time, just to go.
Could you
over
put
that
something
part.
together? Could you put something together just to go over the types of roots that that exist? Because I think just having something that would say, okay, we have first Yod Vav roots, we have first guttural, whatever, the types of roots and how they are affected.
Yes, they are in your appendices. Would you prefer to have a sheet? Or are you comfortable going back to the appendices and learning them that way? Or would you prefer a handout with a little bit more explanation as to why they are the way they
I don't know.
are?
Well, something, simpler.
Or something
think-
that maybe explains the charts a little bit. Right? Because they don't, well, they do include explanations.
How about we do this? We put together a list of verbs that have similar characteristics, and then we can look them up in a verb chart online. I'll show them how to use a verb chart, and then we can show that we can compare the different verbs, like le'echol and le'esof. You know, to eat and to collect. And then we can look at the verb forms and how they're similar because they're first aleph.
Let's plan on that for Monday. Are we meeting on Monday?
Yeah.
Marcelo?
Yep.
Okay. Regular time okay for everyone?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or I could do it earlier if that's easier.
I could do an hour earlier, I guess.
I know it would be easier on Jason.
Oh, I
I
don't know
can-
where I'll be on Monday.
Huh?
I don't know where
Oh,
I'll be on
yes,
Monday.
because Jason has new life developments that he is adjusting to currently. Is that accurate to say?
Well, I know that I won't be working on Monday night. I know that for sure. But Monday nights are now a common karaoke night. And now that I have a consistent person that I'm dating, I kind of get lost in time.
So the question is, Jason, what's more important to you?
Hmm.
Man, if I were you, that would be a tough call.
Yeah.
Well, especially because they already have a teacher. I don't need to be there.
Oh, that's true. But you're better than I am.
Stop.
Well, you're not better than I am, but that's all right. I'm just kidding. We're equally talented, and he's better at speaking and understanding, certainly. All right. Okay. Next reading. 1 Kings 21, 17 to 29. This is long. This is 12 verses. So let's get as far as we can. And so how much time do we have left here? We started at 7:45. So we have about a half an hour. So we can get through a good bit of this. So let's just do what we can. All right?
All right.
All right.
Can
Who
you
would like-
unshare your screen and I'll throw up the comic?
Oh, yeah. That's better. Right.
Unshare your screen.
Say you'll unshare your screen. Wow, music of my childhood. Samuel, do you remember those songs?
Which one?
Unbreak my heart, say you love me again.
Yeah.
All right. Comic. Comic? Who wants to start?
We're doing this one again, this bubble.
Oh, did we already do this?
Oh, where did we leave off?
We did the whole,
What?
yeah, we did the whole bubble.
Yep.
The whole first one.
We're on cough, I think.
Yeah.
And cough
Okay.
means 20.
Thank you. Yes. All right. Who wants to start?
I can start.
All right, Samuel.
Vayomer Achav el Eliyahu. Hamsatani oivi. Vayomer Matsati
Matsati.
Ya'an. Matsati Ya'an. Hitmakerka. La'asot hara. Ba'ene Adonai.
Excellent. I have a question for you. When you read this, are you reading the accents or you're just pronouncing intuitively?
I'm trying to say something if I see something there. Yeah.
So you're looking for accents.
Trying to, yes.
Because you're doing really well at that, is my point. But when you've been reading it for long enough, it just kind of becomes intuitive. So that's why I asked. But at this stage in the game, second year students, at least prior to my I haven't seen how Cook teaches intermediate Hebrew at Asbury. So at least prior to that, when that came along, students would ignore accents and their pronunciations would fall on wrong syllables all the time. So for second semester Hebrew students, you guys are miles ahead of the average graduate program.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. When it comes to reading and pronunciation, absolutely. All
Okay,
right.
so Ahab said to Elijah, is it how did you find me?
Yes.
My enemy?
Yes. And what do you call this
Well,
construction
it would technically be like, has my enemy discovered me? Has my enemy found me?
Yes.
Has my enemy found me?
It depends on, yes, right. So,
or it's second person. So matsata oti, have you found me, my enemy? Have you found me, my enemy?
yes. So this is the interrogative particle, right?
Yes.
Good. And can you parse this? Hamatsatani? Sorry about my dog barking. I'm going to mute myself. Can you hear the dog?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Keep going.
It's call call perfect 2ms.
Which would normally be matsata.
Yes, it should be.
What else is there?
The
What's
suffix?
the ani?
Yeah, the one CS suffix
Excellent.
and the interrogative hey.
Yes.
Without
Yep.
the what is it, the patach?
Hmm.
There is no patak there.
So it's just the patach.
There's two patak. There's ha with patak and there's ta patak.
Why is there not a hataf patach there
Where?
under the interrogative?
Because there's a shva after it. You can't have
Oh, that's right. That's
composite
right.
shva
That's right.
followed by a vocal shva.
So yes, you fully parse that verb. So have you found me, my enemy?
Mm-hmm. And he said, I found.
I have found, and then the object there is assumed, meaning I have found you.
I have found you because.
End of sentence, right? Because you have the. Is that the Zakef Katon?
Huh? Well, matzati is with katon, yes, but
Yeah.
it's
So
not
that-
necessarily end of sentence. It's,
Well, it's a break, right?
break vocally. I have found you because of your blah blah blah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So because what?
It's from the sell oneself, the hit pile. I want to say you have sold yourself, but
Yes.
I don't know why though.
It's not you have. This is an infinitive construct. Because of your becoming devoted, because of your being devoted.
Well,
Itmakel is the verb, it's the
No.
infinitive construct. Yes.
No.
Yes. This is infinitive.
Hitmarcha.
Itmakel is infinitive construct and cha is your. Itmakel is being devoted and you're being devoted.
Right, but okay, but this is not being devoted. This is what I thought you were saying.
Because of your being devoted to doing
evil in the sight of Yahweh.
Yeah, because of your devoting yourself to doing evil in God's eyes.
This translated as because you sold yourself by doing evil.
Not by doing evil, to doing evil. This is what you've devoted yourself to doing. When you sell yourself, it means you've devoted yourself to it.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't it be
doing evil in God's eyes? That's why it's saying why he searched for him and why he found him. Why did he take him out?
Why can't it be by doing evil?
You sold yourself by doing evil. No, that would be an instrumental and it would be with the bet.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking, but maybe it doesn't have to be.
You've devoted yourself to doing something. It tells you what you've devoted yourself to. You've devoted yourself to drinking alcohol. You've devoted yourself to serving your wife.
The NASB has. Sorry. The Lord, wait.
Verse 20.
21.
20.
Right. Have you found me, O my enemy? And he answered, I have found you because you have sold yourself to do evil.
Yep.
So it is taking the hit makor as a reflexive perfect with a suffix.
It's not, but it's not a perfect. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Ya'an takes an infinitive after it. It cannot be ya'an. Well, if it was, it would say ya'an asher. Yan asher itmakarta. There would have to be a second person ending.
This parses it as an infinitive construct.
It's an infinitive construct for sure.
So according to Cook, and I'm not sure if Lamed does this, this would be interesting to look out for if Lamed is ever instrumental. But the explanatory use of the infinitive, why did he sell himself? Or how did he sell himself? By doing evil, explaining how he did something. Explanatory use. Remember pesto, purpose, explanatory, infinitive with subject, infinitive with a verb of time, and infinitive with an object. The 5 uses.
I can't believe you remember all these weird lists.
I don't remember it. I just remember pesto and then go through pesto.
I've never heard of such a thing.
No, because a student came up with that.
Well, I could see it both ways, that you sold yourself by doing evil, or you've been devoted to do evil.
Yes, it could be either.
I think that's the way that the Hebrew says. I don't think it's either.
Okay, Jason, can you take the next? Can you take the next one? I'll be right back. Question?
What?
Short, right?
What?
If it's by doing evil, wouldn't it be ba'ashot or be'ashot?
It would be a bet usually.
Ba'ashot.
Yeah.
Ba'ashot.
Yeah. I would expect it to be bet. Yeah. In modern Hebrew, we would say bekach she'asita. Oh, bekach. In that you did. In that you did something. All right. Marcelo, I think you're reading here. Marcelo, you want to go 21? Kaf
Sure. Hineni mevi elah.
As far as syntax is concerned, the hine particle or hineni, behold I, normally is followed by a participle. So that's what we have going on here. Hineni mevi.
Hineni mevi elecha.
Again, this is problematic. It should say alecha with ayin, not elecha with aleph. This happens so many times in the Bible. Behold, I am bringing upon you evil. It should say alecha. But the author of the king's narrative, for whatever reason, because of where he was or what time he was writing or whatever, he confuses consistently between elecha to you and alecha upon you. He confuses them all the time. And so this should say alecha.
Okay. Uviarti.
The accent is where?
Uviarti.
And that shows that that's switched to the future. Normally, bi'arti is the past bi'arti, but with the vav switching it to the future, uviarti, and I will. Uviarti.
Uviarti. Ha'aret or ha'areha.
Switch the aleph and the chet. You're saying cha'a, but it's acha.
Achareha.
Acharecha.
Vahich rav vahich rati, right?
Vichrati.
That's the accent.
And this is from karat. Karat. You know the word karet, like somebody who's been cut off. So ichrati, I will cut off. It's the hifil of karet. Notice the taf is both the root letter karat and the personal ending t. I will. There's an assimilation. It would normally be hey taf resh taf taf yod, but the two tafs have been blended together in assimilation. Vichrati.
And that's the dagesh, right?
Well, this is dagesh chazak. It's doubling it.
Le'achav mashetin. Mashtin.
Notice that the taf has dagesh lene, the dagesh kal. You can't have a vocal shva before dagesh kal. Then it would be mashetin without dagesh. So that's an indication that sheen has to have a silent shva. Mashtin.
Mashtin bekir.
That's a nice expression. What does that mean? Mashtin bekir. Normally, we talk today about mashtin ba'avir, mashtin baruach. Mashtin baruach is somebody who pisses into the wind. If you piss into the wind, it comes back on you, right? So this is mashtin bakir. And kir means? It was one of the vocabulary words.
Wall.
A wall. Someone who pisses on a wall. Women do not piss on the wall. Men stand up and piss on the wall, right? So this is, and not just any kind of men, but men who are like bold, because it's normal to be somewhat shy about showing your private parts in public. But this is a person who's bold, a manly man, someone who pisses on the wall.
That's interesting. So va'atzur. Va'atzuv.
Ve'atzur.
Ve'atzur. Ve'azuv. Be'Israel.
Israel.
So behold, I'm bringing upon you evil. No. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm bringing evil upon you.
And I be'arti cha'aret.
Leva'er is a verb, to burn. I will burn. Uviarti.
Okay. I will burn your
it's a preposition. Uviarti acharecha, and I will burn. You can say uviarti lefanecha, I will burn before you. Uviarti acharecha. Acharecha is the opposite of lefanecha. After you.
Okay.
Acharei is after. It has a plural ending. Acharei. So to say after me, you say acharai. And after you, acharecha.
I should remember that, but blanked out. Acharecha. So I will burn after you, and I will cut off from Ahab.
This would probably be a dative of reference. Like with regard to Achav, I will cut off.
Oh, regarding Ahab, I will cut.
Regarding is usually, I think regarding is usually all.
It's dative of reference, and it uses lamed. Look up lamed of reference. It's like saying, Ani lachem lelohim. I will become a god for you. With regard to you, I will become God. This is, and as regards Achav, I will cut off everyone who pisses on the wall.
Yes, a lamed of reference, or I think Waltke and O'Connor calls it a lamed of product. It's the same thing.
Product.
When you make something into something.
So I will cut off anyone who is pisses on the wall, and atzur. Is that a new word?
Atzur means like stopped or bound.
Okay.
Basically, you have atzur means someone who's stopped, and azuv means, in this case, someone that the authorities don't bother. The authorities would stop this person. That means he's bound. And then the other one, azuv, means left, like left alone. He's a free person. Atzur is someone who's bound, and azuv is someone who's left alone. So they are bound and free.
So I will cut off, in regards to Ahab, everyone who pisses on the wall, and
think of this vav as a both slave and free, both bound and free.
Yep. Bound and free alike.
From Israel.
That's how what's his face would do it. Co, however you pronounce his name.
Okay.
I only say that because Jason learned off of that garbage book. I only hated that book because he said that it was supposed to be a simplification of another book, and it ended up being an expansion of the other book. So it doesn't make any sense. Like it was 100 pages longer than the original book. But anyway, good work. Let's do one more. Whose turn is it now?
I guess it would be mine.
All right, go for it.
So we are moving forward with the screen. Hold on. All right, Vinatati. Notice the accent. I will. Vinatati et beitcha keveit Yarovam. Yarovam. Ben Nevat. Ukeveit Basha. Venachia. El hakaas asher ichasta. Vatachati et Yisrael. Notice it's el hakaas. It should be al hakaas. Again, el al. That's a problem.
Well, it's a marker of later Hebrew because it's done in Aramaic as well. El al interchange.
So I will make your house like the house of Jeroboam, the son of Nevat, and like the house of Basha, the son of Achia, for the anger, that is, for the incitement which you incited, for the anger which you enraged. That's a cognate accusative, but it should say al.
Does everybody know what a cognate accusative is? We've run into it before in the last book, but do you remember?
No.
Joseph, when he says, I dreamed a dream, a cognate accusative. You have the verb, and then you have telling what he dreamed that's coming from the same verbal root.
And Jonah feared a great fear.
The sailors feared a great fear. I think.
And they joyed a great joy. So in this case, he enraged a great rage. He incited an incitement. Maybe he made angry an anger. Anyway, the vatachati et Israel, and you caused Israel to sin.
This says, for the anger which you angered me, in parentheses.
And you caused Israel to sin. You led Israel into sin.
Yep.
You know, the interesting thing, because I did the exegesis of 1 Kings 13, all throughout 1st and 2nd Kings, the sins of Jeroboam show up a lot. They followed the sins of Jeroboam, and it seems like he was the main protagonist of all this mess.
Yeah. I'm really pissed off at Logos right now because I helped one of my professors write a commentary on 1st and 2nd Kings. And in order to get that commentary, I have to buy the entire commentary series. I can't buy it individually. And I don't get a damn free copy.
That doesn't make sense. He should
No. I worked on that for like a year and a half.
Wow.
I had to build the bibliography, and I had to annotate journal articles and annotate books so he knew which sources he wanted to use in his research.
Wow.
Made $7.25 an hour, minimum wage in Kentucky. Awful. All right. Let's do one more verse and then call it a day.
Oh, this is a big one.
It is. Let's just do 23. Is it my turn?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So V'gam liYisrael diber Adonai lemor haklavim yochlu et Yisrael b'chel Yisrael, or sorry, b'chel Yisrael. Right. So Jason, can you scroll it back?
Trying.
So also Jezebel, diber Adonai lemor. God, I guess God spoke. Also to Jezebel, God spoke. So this is interesting word order, is it not?
Isabel.
So why is it? What's odd about it, and why is it the way it is? Or at least one explanation for why it is the way it is. What would ordinary expected syntax be? Vayedaber Adonai el Yisrael, right?
Yeah.
So why is it flipped? And there's no past narrative marker. Anyone?
Because it's foregrounding.
It has not to do with foregrounding or backgrounding or topic or focus. Maybe topicalization.
Maybe focus.
Or
let's pull focus to Jezebel.
Or yes, well, that would be the topicalization. It's switching topics. But there's one other one. And it's one other one that Cook and Homestead don't cover very much in their book. We learned that grammatical
How about we say
words.
contrast? Like he's
That's
saying,
that's
you
another
pissed
option.
God off and you made Israel sin, and also to Jezebel.
Okay, but let's review the way
Mm.
that what flip. So real and eero mood flip, past narrative flip, right? If a clause is a relative clause, like if it has asher or ki or im or something like that, or the interrogative, that flips it. There's one other one. Prepositional phrases.
What?
Is
Yep.
gam a preposition?
I think
No.
so. Oh,
Gam's
it's
an
not?
adverb.
Oh, well, never mind. So then if that's not it, I was thinking also as a preposition. My bad. My bad. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So yes. So then I would say that this is topicalization.
Focus. Pulling
Well,
focus.
topicalization is when it switches focus to a different topic, basically.
So does topic and focus have the same meaning? I think they're two different things.
Well, you can focus.
It's pulling the eyes onto Jezebel. It's not changing topic.
It's saying also you're supposed to connect it.
Right, and the gam might trigger inversions. Maybe that's a grammatical word. I don't remember. But I think topicalization or focus, however you look at it, it's not always the same thing, but topicalization is focusing by way of introducing a different subject. You can have focus without introducing a different subject. Like, it's an example. Well, the traditional way of understanding Adonai Hu HaElohim, Yahweh, He's God, not Baal. Right? It's then the Elijah story we read about. Right? So God spoke to also concerning Jezebel, God spoke, saying, Haklavim yochlu et Yisrael. The dogs will eat up or consume Jezebel. Bachel. What's that again?
The outer rampart.
Outer rampart. So in the outer rampart of Jezreel. So now, what about the word order of this clause here? So the dogs, so what do we have? Subject, verb, et Yisrael. Object.
Yeah.
So probably either standard word order or focus. Focusing on the dogs.
It's more interesting what happens in the next verse.
Let's. We are over time. So on Thursday, I need to take my dog out. So on Thursday, let's finish this off and look at the. Oh, I appreciate that you made that slide.
Oh, that looks good, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Let's finish up this reading. Try to between now and Monday, try to go through the reading so we can go through it quickly and maybe look at the grammar questions, right? So try to finish off the reading and look at the grammar questions, and we'll go over the grammar questions and start the next reading on Monday. And did we want to meet an hour earlier? Oh, Jason doesn't know if he can make it on Monday. So I'm up for meeting an hour earlier or the regular time. What's better for the two of you?
Our earlier,
is better.
sure.
Samuel?
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that.
All right, so
So
6:30.
at
6:30 Eastern. In fact, we could do that going forward. If 6:30 is easier than 7:30. Or 5:30 is easier than 6:30 in your case. What would
Wait.
you like to do?
5:30 or I mean 6:30 your time or 5 or 6?
I'm sorry, 6, because we were moving it a half an hour later. So usually 6 or 5 your time, right?
Yeah, typically it's 6 my time, 7 yours.
Right. So if we move it to 5, would that be any better?
That's
Or-
good.
All right, so let's plan on 6. That's easier.
Because we have 7 more readings, I think.
Yeah, and we're going long. I think. Well,
mm-hmm.
And
when
I'm
did
gonna
when did we start this? We started this after Christmas, right?
oh yeah, that was like
So-
in
Yeah, so
February
theoretically,
sometime.
if we were moving at standard graduate pacing, we should have finished this by May or June. So we're a little
You
bit
started
on
in
pace,
February.
but oh, that's right, we did start in February. So
End of
we're
Feb.
actually about right on schedule.
And we've had
Yeah.
several weeks off sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. So we're doing well, I think. Now, we can talk about if we want to have an additional class after this class.
yeah.
I guess for the next class, we would do random readings, just straight scripture, maybe do a little bit more text critical work. Maybe Jason can teach a session or 2 on morphology and verbal progression and noun progression, as far as like the evolution of how verbs and nouns became the way they did based on moving from Proto-Semitic to Classical Hebrew. That would be fun. That is basically advanced Hebrew. Oh, and advanced Hebrew, you know what it would be? It would be writing sentences, compositions.
You should write sentences in basic Hebrew.
I know. Which by the time I got to advanced Hebrew grammar with Cook, it was the first time anybody had done compositions.
Okay, I'm kind of curious. I remember in the first book, he had you writing sentences, and in the second book, he doesn't. Why?
But not biblical sentences, not straight biblical word order sentences. And yeah, so why doesn't he have writings in the intermediate grammar? Probably because he's saving it for the advanced Hebrew grammar that he has coming out.
Interesting.
Because that was a huge component of the class. And I tell you what, that the composition is the most fun I ever had in a Hebrew class. We basically took Weingren's, I can't remember if it was, it was from his composition book. And Weingren's composition book is incredibly hard to find. There's a grammar and
I have a PDF of it.
Do you?
I've got a PDF of it, and I have a print copy of it.
Okay, so my task for the next class, I'll probably need a couple months to get it ready after we finish. But I want to do what a student did for Cook, whose materials he has since lost, and adapt Weingren's assignments to Cook's style and compose based off of that.
Cool.
So
I'm doing that with Weingren's grammar, with his basic grammar.
Right.
I'm working through it and I'm putting it in the standard word order according to Cook.
Yes. That's great.
So if we do that, it'd be a lot of fun if we did basic communicative Hebrew when we're doing.
In biblical Hebrew?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't know modern.
Yeah.
I don't think that advanced
And
Hebrew
if
grammar.
we just ask simple questions, answer simple answers.
Yeah, we could do a couple of those. I think Jason would be the right person to teach that portion.
Well, you have to know question words
Yes,
Mhm.
well,
like
you
why
should.
and
You
how
should
and
have
when
should have
and all of
learned
those
should have
words.
learned question words in the beginning.
But I don't know that you guys have them down.
We
Like what is
don't.
madua? Madua.
No idea.
Okay, so we
Why?
need to review question
Why?
words.
Madua.
Madua. Why?
That's
Efo.
that's somewhere in your first grammar,
Well, I'm sure you
Right.
know who. You know how to say me. Me.
Right.
Who. Ma. What.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You know. Maybe you know matai. When. Matai.
ad matai, or yeah, matai,
Mhm.
ad matai.
Ad matai would be like how long, until when, how long. Matai. Madua. Lama. Why.
Yeah, for what do you
When,
do this
where.
thing?
Where. Efo.
Aye,
Who, what, when, where, why. How.
aye,
How. Ech.
eh, and
Aye
aye.
is where. You can say, where are you? Ayeka.
Hmm.
Ayeka.
Yeah, we can do that for a couple sessions. Or, well, I wouldn't be comfortable asking grammatical questions in modern Hebrew. So, but we can do some. Jason, you used
My whole last course was
yeah.
biblical Hebrew spoken.
Why don't you do some of that stuff for the if you're still around?
Are you saying I'm gonna die?
No, but I'm saying if your person will supersede your Hebrew priorities.
Well, I'm gonna be working. I'm gonna be working more night shifts because I'm moving to back to the hotel. So I don't know how that's going to affect me.
Well, I'm
I'll probably
excited.
have certain nights that I request off so that I can use them for lessons.
I'm excited to let's call this advanced because that's what it is at Asbury. This next course. So I will send you, when this is all said and done, I will send you materials. I will send you a textbook that has not been published, which Jason thought he would hate, but ends up loving.
The historical textbook.
Yes, yes.
The problem is that it's really heavy and it hurts PDF players, PDF readers.
It works fine on mine.
It locked up my computer a few times.
I know, but it works fine on mine. So I don't know if it's your computer or if it's a corrupted file, but it works fine on mine. So hopefully it doesn't lock up your computer. If it does,
it's full of information. It's definitely full of information.
Well, we used it we didn't learn the entire thing. We used it as a reference. We used it to look at certain verbal patterns and noun patterns. We didn't learn the entire thing. But like, for instance, Segolite nouns, you'd love that session.
That's my favorite part of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the evolution.
Oh, I got a silly private message on one of my forums yesterday. The person asked me, "Why do you like Hebrew more than other languages?" And I responded to him, "Why do you like dogs more than other animals?" I mean, I don't know that he likes dogs, and he wrote back and he's like, "What?" But I'm thinking, why do you ask somebody why they like something? Why do you like chocolate ice cream more than vanilla? I don't know. I just know that I like it.
Well, yes, and you've been living in Israel for 22 years.
14.
I can't do
that. But I liked Hebrew more than Greek, even after my second year of Hebrew. I liked it more than Greek, and I don't know why. Greek was easier in the beginning.
In the beginning, not in the end. Oh, not nearly in the end.
Yeah.
Marcelo,
No.
how do you feel at this stage in your languages, knowing Greek more?
I'm actually, I don't know. Right now, I feel like I'm understanding Hebrew a little better. Like you guys said, there comes a point where it kind of switches.
Yeah,
I think
because
it's starting to switch. I'm reading, I mean, grammatically, the Bible, I haven't really gone through like Acts or Luke, which they say it's more complicated. So I'm in James right now, and it's not complicated. So I'm not struggling, but I know like when I get to Paul, some of those super long sentences, you know, it might be a little more tough, but I don't think I'm learning anything new other than just learning how an author writes. So with Hebrew, I don't know. I feel like it's getting, I wouldn't say vocabulary because I still need to work on that. But as far as construction and sentences and stuff, it makes a lot of sense.
It's more consistent. There's obviously, it's a bigger corpus, so there's going to be more vocabulary. So, yep. Well, folks, I will see you on Monday. So don't forget to look over the rest of the reading and look over the grammar questions, and we'll go over those grammar, quickly zip through the translation and look at the grammar questions and continue the next reading. Right?
All right.
And I am going to post this on YouTube immediately. And
I'll believe it when it happens.
Yes. Well, I am definitely. My problem is that it spends so much time converting the file and processing the file that I forget that it's actually finished.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. See this? This is our.
Wow. Neat.
Our glass. Stained glass window, and it's like the story of the Bible pretty much.
That's the biggest stained glass window I've ever seen.
Yeah, and then come here to the middle.
This is your SDA.
Yeah,
that's very strange. You're a peculiar SDA.
This the risen Christ.
And then I remember that the SDA focused a lot on the symbolic language of Daniel and Revelation. There was a lot of talk about Revelation and Daniel.
So this stained glass right here.
That's gorgeous.
That's the three angels' messages of Revelation 14.
It looks like the tree of life.
Yeah,
and then I can't see that it's angels.
Wow, your church, you have a huge ass pipe organ.
Yes.
That's Don't say huge. Ass. He's in the middle of his sanctuary.
Well, I'm not. I don't give a crap about that. All right. So, because people can overhear me. Oops.
What is that one? That's also three angels, no?
It is, but it's
that looks like a seraph.
It's the second coming in Revelation. There's the Reaper, and there's a couple. I don't know exactly what it's from, but I think.
Oh, that's right, because SDAs basically interpret the 1260 days as the basically is the apostasy in the Catholic Church.
I'm gonna stop the recording. I'm gonna stop the recording now. So thanks to those who listen to this.
Yeah.
The woman is the